5G, 10G, is that going to be double 5G? Chris, you talked about 10G. What exactly is that, and what is CableLabs cooking up here?
Well, first of all, it's not just CableLabs. It's CableLabs and the industry writ broadly with NCTA and internationally with Cable Europe, but also with our other partner associations in the U.S. And the focus is not 10G versus 5G or twice 5G. It's very much around the fact that the industry has a powerful set of technologies, a collection of technologies that will allow the industry to basically take and keep broadband leadership in terms of connectivity and focusing on how we can continue to expand the flexibility of our existing networks through not only speed, which is obviously quite critical, and 10G, 10 gigabits per second, how we evolve from our 1 gigabit solutions now to multiple gigabits upstream, downstream, and then also upstream. But it's also about how we can differentiate around things like low latency, how security makes a difference, how we can expand Wi-Fi capabilities, and collectively that set of technologies will allow us to maintain and continue our leadership in providing network services.
Yeah, I guess a common element of both those 5G and 10G is this fiber deep, right?
Well, yes, we have a highly robust HFC network, hybrid fiber coax in the case of cable, and now the multiple generations of DOCSIS, including where we are now with 3.1 and full duplex, will continue to expand those capabilities. But it isn't necessarily limited just to HFC networks. Mm-hmm. We're developing technologies that will increase the capabilities of the fiber portion of our networks, up to and including those who ultimately roll out, FTTH. So it's focused on how cable operators of hybrid networks as well as fiber networks will be able to utilize this set of technologies to continue to deliver for both consumers, businesses, etc., as and when it makes sense to roll out those services.
Yeah, I guess where I was going with that comment was just the idea that the 5G is going to need a lot of that fiber as well, right?
The answer is yes. If you look at the advantages that fixed networks can provide to mobile networks, whether they're 4G or 5G or XG, fill in the blank, we have the ability through front haul, back haul to make a difference in terms of how ultimately the content across those mobile networks finds its way to its destination, whether it's over the internet or to servers or whatever. Ultimately, mobile networks are inherently fixed networks because you have short distances where radios can help provide mobility, which is absolutely crucial to our livelihood, but it depends on fixed networks to get that content to and from the radios that exist in our phones, and that is a capability that we are continuing to develop within the cable networks as well to allow increasing front haul, back haul capability.
And then the other part of wireless is in the home, and one of the things you touched upon just now, but also Commissioner O'Reilly talked about was the 6 gigahertz. And what opportunities do you see there?
CableLabs has been working in the spectrum space now for about 5 years. One of our objectives, not the only one, is to identify additional unlicensed spectrum so that industries, plural, can utilize that unlicensed spectrum in terms of servicing in-home, outside the home, and with the proliferation of connected devices, IoT after a fashion, having additional spectrum will fundamentally benefit the support of our fixed networks into the home and the wireless networks that are in the home, and also the Wi-Fi networks that are outside the home. So identifying opportunities to expand unlicensed spectrum in shared context. Mm-hmm. We originally did that in the 5.1 space and have been working in the 3.5 space for CBRS and also in the 3.7 space on C-band, again with the objective of assuring that incumbents have the appropriate utilization of the frequencies in a protected fashion, but that their spectrum is made available for unlicensed utilization. And having that as an element of 10G is critical by underscoring the fact that our networks are not strictly fixed, that we also have a complement, particularly in the home, with wireless, and how we can identify not only more spectrum, but the management of that spectrum, the security for that spectrum, the speed of that spectrum, the ability to pull analytics out of that spectrum to better serve and support the consumer treatment, the consumer experience in the home is a separate area that we're focused on that, again, bundled with things like reliability, low latency, and speed, allow us to provide an integrated solution that collectively we're calling 10G, and focusing on this as essentially a global broadband network solution for this industry.
What's fascinating to me in some sense with the spectrum management, you're starting to automate some of the stuff that would have been done by FCC staffers, right? I mean, but you're automating it in real time in terms of, allocating spectrum how it needs to be, right?
Well, in terms of what spectrum a particular device would utilize, and then having the intelligence in order to identify what spectrum, those technologies have been under development in the wireless industry for a while to maximize the quality, the effectiveness of the user experience. And so we, working with other industries, have been very much aligned around finding solutions that inherently increase and improve the value of the user experience in the home. And again, that is optimizing the actual radio band that a particular device is on certainly is one element of that, but it's with a host of other wireless capabilities that assure an improved customer experience.
Well, Chris, I appreciate your time and for the chance to catch up with you.
Delighted to be here. Thanks.
Thanks.
You. Take care.